What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today on the Craigslist Civic, we're going to get this car almost ready to run. Alright guys, so at the end of the last video, I kind of hinted at something that I did for the car, and so I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to open the box and we're going to take a look. So yeah, here it is. Alright, so what could it be? There it is. We got ourselves, new to us, but a very slightly used Turbonetics T3 turbocharger. Dual ball bearing. It's a TNX 2060 T3 housing, completely all T3. Now, if you look at it compared to my old turbo, the housing is a little smaller on this side. Believe me, with this Chinesium junk, this is ball bearing. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. Look at the difference. Look at how velocity stacks in. You listen to this. Cheap, super high quality. I mean, it just goes along with everything. I don't know if you can hear how easy that spins compared to this thing, but it's just not even like, this thing spins so easy compared to this thing. This one just feels heavy. This thing is going to spool up so hard. I mean, they're going to make around the same power, but the difference being this is going to make just a wee bit more power. Also, that being said, it's also going to be able to stand up and ride the power curve out. So the way the power curve worked on this, it was kind of like a mountain. And I'll show you here what I mean. Alright, so basically what it breaks down to is, so the China charger, when it made power, it would come in and it would just freight train up to redline. So power would come on around like, $4 grand, 4,500, and it would just spike. Like, it just had a ton of lag, and it would just, but it would like freight train up. Now, with the Turbonetics, the way it's going to work, it's going to come in and it's going to stand up and run the power over a red line. I mean, that's the idea. That's how I'm assuming it's going to work. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work. I've seen a dyno chart of this particular turbo on a very similar setup as mine. Matter of fact, almost the same setup. And my setup's actually making just a smidge more compression. So we'll see how that works. The other thing about this is, I don't have the torque like drawn out, but the torque curve on this is actually much higher too, where my car only made around 230 foot-pounds. This setup, I'm aiming to make around 285 foot-pounds, almost 300 foot-pounds of torque, where that's what I want, is that mid-range. It'll be good for what I want to do with the car. It's this Chinese turbo never really did what I wanted it to. It just made big power at the end, and it just was it was a nuisance. It wasn't a nuisance. It got the job done, but its day has come, and it's time to go. And now it's time for big boy turbo. I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Matt Todd Hunter. He's the one on. Him and I have been talking. I don't know if you guys follow it or not, but there's a page on Facebook Marketplace called D-Series Enthusiast, or not Marketplace, just regular Facebook, called D-Series Enthusiasts, and a lot of guys on there, just there to help out, ask questions, give answers, and usually him and I are always answering questions, because him and I are ones that still have air conditioning and power steering, and we're both turbocharged and all that sort of thing. And I saw that he had a post where he had gotten a bigger turbo. He's going for a little more power, and I just happened to hop on eBay and I noticed that he had his turbo for sale. So I kind of linked up with him and I bought his turbo from him. So again, look, like just simple stuff like this turbo inlet right here, just so much just bigger than this one. And as far as all that, it just everything about it is just better, of course. I mean, it's just really not even fair to be able to compare them. So first thing we got to do today, though, we got to take this front bumper off of here. I know this clip's a little long, I'm sorry, but we're going to take this front bumper off of here. I'm going to mount this AC fan on. I'm going to mount the AC fan on because I am ditching the factory metal shroud thing because it's just a pain in the butt and it's in the way, it's big, it's bulky. So I'm just going to replace it with an electric fan. Hopefully that works. We'll find out. I don't really use my AC too much, and it's only going to be needed for when it's sitting in traffic. So let's get this bumper off of here, and yeah, and I got to clean out an intercooler pipe, and we're going to finish getting a little bits of shavings, and then we're going to slap this intake manifold on, and then we'll get to the turbo stuff. All right, so this is what we got going on so far. Front bumper is off, and crap. I apologize. So what we're doing is we're replacing this big old metal fan with a new slim puller fan. Alright, nothing special, nothing too out of the ordinary. The thing is, the factory fan has this shroud around it that goes around the whole condenser, but we're getting rid of this big thing because it is super thick. If you look at it, like the comparison, I don't know if you can see it or not, on how much bigger this thing is. It's always in the way, it's always cutting on my arms when I'm trying to get in there and work. So soldered on factory connection. Ooh, we're gonna spray some cleaner in there first, but you know, same connection. Got this off a Honda at the junkyard. Soldered in, we loomed it up. It looks nice and pretty. Put the mounting points on it, and then we're gonna mount it to this condenser. I have these pull-through tabs. Hopefully they'll fit through these fins because these fins are kind of thin. These are designed for a radiator, but I think we'll be okay. Alright, I couldn't get the camera to sit in a spot where I wanted it to sit, but essentially put the mounting tabs on here and then just push through. I centered it up on the radiator or on the condenser as much as I could. You push the tabs through, and now it is mounted. Now I just go ahead and push the little mounting tabs on the back side of here, so it'll press up against it, and yeah, that's it. Alright, so next thing, well, got this mounted in here now. It's in here nice and tight, not going anywhere. I've got the condenser itself, I've got it zip tied in a few different places. It's nice and solid, not going anywhere. So, fans in, so much more room for activities now. And we're cutting my arm up and all that, so I decided the next thing we're going to do, we are going to, not that it really looks like it needs to come off, because it really doesn't, but I have a brand new one, so I might as well use it. We're going to put this intake manifold back on, so we're going to get this old gasket off of here. I'm going to try hitting it with a razor first, try to peel off as much as I can, the bulk of it, and then I have these little things, which these things are great. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you should go ahead and order yourself a set. They sell them on Amazon. They're called Rolock discs. They're pretty awesome. 2 packs are like $6 or $7, and then the actual adapter for it is about $5.99. So $12 all in, and this thing will save you a ton of headache. I mean, I took copper gasket. If you saw from the last video where I actually had already put the manifold onto the head when I had slapped it down, and then I had to take it off. There was so much copper on the gasket. It took it off the gasket. And if anybody knows, trying to get copper spray off, if it hasn't been heated up first, is a total nightmare. So it took that all off. Like, I'm not kidding. It made the gasket, turned this gasket out like perfect. So, and of course it took it off the head. I had to get it off the head, and I had to get it off all that. So, like I said, I'm going to run a razor through this, try to scrape all this as much as I can, and then we'll probably hit it with the roll-lock, get the rest off, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I got the gasket off of here. Boy, oh boy, was that fun. I just ended up using the roll-lock for most of it. God, it creates a whole lot of dust because the gasket wasn't that old, so did create a good bit of dust, but the beauty of the roll-lock is it gets it off, and it gets it off fast. You're not sitting there playing games with a damn razor all day. But like I said, byproduct is a bit of dust. There's some dust up in the intake. We just have to blow some of that out. Step away from that thing. So, whew, I'm gonna sneeze. Got a little dusty. Anyway, so we got that gasket off. Got the majority of the dust blowing out. We're gonna clean off the O-rings, where clean them up real good where the fuel injectors go, and then we're gonna slap the intake on the car. All right, guys. So got the intake back on. I had to pull the throttle body off because the TPS wouldn't clear past this this brake line right here. Sorry, this brake line right here. But no big deal. Just pulled that off. Tighten that all down. Gonna throw the fuel rail on and pretty much button everything up on the top end, and then tomorrow I'll pick this video back up and we'll knock out the fun part, which is the turbo stuff. All right, guys. So it's the next day, and I already started getting a few things moving. I just put the fuel rail on. She's on there nice and sturdy. Injectors are in, they're bottomed out, they're in their O-rings, they fit in there nice and snug like they're supposed to. All fuel, yeah, injectors are on, so what we're going to do is we're just going to start plugging everything in up top, and really that's a pretty straightforward process. You know, you unplugged it, make sure you plug it back in. Going to hook the fuel up, maybe, I don't know. And then we're going to dive into, well, I'm going to have to, I got to take this intercooler pipe off, got to clean it out because the aluminum shavings did get up into it, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of all this and put the turbo on. Yay. Alright, back at you in a second. Alright, so we're going to give you a quick little update here. Alright, so intake is completely hooked up. There's a few little things I got to tighten down with it, but fuel injectors are in, caps on. I put this stock cap thing on here just so it doesn't look all like a bunch of shitty wires. Intake air temperature is on. Fuel return is on. Let's see. Let's walk around and see what. Make sure you don't forget. Throttle linkage. I need to tighten that up. But it is on. The map sensor. My TPS is hooked up. Intake air idle control valve, that is hooked up. All my coolant hoses to the intake are hooked up. Vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator, that is hooked up. Just need to connect. This is the heater core hose. Just need to plug that in. These wires are for the distributor. I'll put the distributor on in a minute. It's not really necessary right now. It goes on with 3 bolts. It's not too hard. Not such a big deal. Brake booster. Okay, that's a big one. And also, this is my reference for my mag valve, or my Honda boost solenoid, whatever you want to call it. It's my boost reference. I will be deleting this in the future. I'm going to be running this off the turbo now because I can. It's best to always have it close to the source of boost as possible, and this is as far away basically as possible, so it's kind of like counterintuitive to what I need. But my turbo before didn't offer me that, so I'm going to be running it from the turbo now because I can. What else do we have here? I don't know if you guys are running, still have your PCV system. Make sure you plug all that back in. Like, I don't have it anymore, so of course I don't have it. And also with the throttle body, it's all the coolant for your intake air idle control. I deleted all that. You can delete it too, unless you live in sub-zero climates. Most of the year I wouldn't do it, but if you live in warmer tropical climates, like I live in Maryland, we get some like freezing days a couple days a year. I mean, a couple days. I mean, a lot of days, but Nothing where it's going to mess with your idle too much. All that thing does is it keeps your throttle body from sticking shut. So unless you're running into days like super sub-zero freezing temperatures, I really wouldn't worry about it so much. Let's see. I don't know. Did I show you guys this? Got my NGR Type S blow-off valve. Oh, this thing's gonna be fun. It's gonna bring back memories from the RX-7 days. So yeah. Other than that, it's time to I'm gonna clean this pipe. I marked it real quick so I know exactly where to put it back. I'm gonna yank this off. I'm gonna clean that out, and then start spraying some copper spray, and we're gonna mount this turbo up. Alright guys, well I figure I'm going to end the video here. It's been a little bit of a pain in the butt. We ran into a few issues with the turbo. Now I wouldn't say like issues, but I did buy this used, like I said, and I did run into a situation. I was trying to clock it, and it definitely it was rust welded shut. So, you know, it's two pieces of iron right here, and or this might be even steel, I'm not sure, but this is, or, you know, this is, anyway, I believe this is iron, this is steel. I might be wrong. Somebody let me know in the comments. You know, some are iron. Anyway, it had rust welded itself, so I had to let it soak with some seafoam penetrating oil, and then put a big ass channels on it, and bust it loose with the help of Crazy AF. Thank goodness we got it spinning and free and topped out. And so what I did was I took it apart and cleaned all the rust out where the surfaces meet, and I ran a very thin line with a Q-tip of anti-seize, with everyday anti-seize, and not a whole lot, just a very thin layer, so that way in the future, if I do need to clock it again and I've run it through some hot cycles or whatever, it doesn't stick again. Or if it does, it's just not going to stick as bad as it did. So, with that being said, this is, like I said, this is where I'm going to end it, because I run into all that, and because I needed to clock it, because I had to put the oil feed fitting on for my setup, but the turbo is now connected to the manifold, copper spray the gasket. That's all said and done. Other than that, I got these couplers on. I did do a little test fit. I'm going to have to cut and trim my intercooler piping because the actual turbo sits a little closer to the pipe itself now. So, oh, and one more little thing. This is why I'm going to do the exhaust in the next one. Go Auto Works. I mean, you made a beautiful downpipe. Waited a while for it, and I appreciate the work it's done. It's just when they welded this flange onto this pipe, this actual flange is now, it's warped just a smidgen. I mean, I might be able to get away with just bolting it down and, you know, it working, but I test fitted on my old turbo, and I could slide a feeler in there and in certain spots, and I wasn't comfortable with it, so I have a belt sander, but it's just not big enough, so I'm gonna have to source out a full-size benched belt sander and tap that sucker on there a few times, or I'm gonna have to cut a big flat piece of wood and sand her down or something like that, or I'll figure it out. And I didn't want this video to run so far, so I know it's like everybody wanted to get into the goodies, the meat and potatoes of it, let's put this exhaust up, but really I'm gonna leave the next video for putting the downpipe on and tacking everything into place as far as fabbing up the exhaust. And other than that, man, it's gonna go back together, and then it'll be time for hitting boosts. But we're about to get Hurricane out here. The hurricane is coming, so I'm going to start cleaning everything up and putting it all away. Like always, like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment for me, please. I'll try to get back to it if I can. If I can, I apologize. Sorry, BJ. I know, man. I'm trying, man. I'm busy. You know, got a business to run and all that kind of stuff. So, other than that, like always, love you guys, and